What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Myles. Now today we're going to be talking about if the UFC just made a big mistake. Dana White a couple of weeks ago came out and said that UFC is going to be releasing 60 to 80 fighters, and a lot of these fighters you're going to be surprised about. These are fighters like Yoel Romero, who recently was let go and was a free agent. Now, he just signed with Bellator. Scott Coker at first did not want to sign him, said that they were investing in blue chip athletes like AJ McKee. But he came around after a lot of people coming to him about Yoel Romero, and they decided to sign him, which I believe is a great addition to the Bellator roster. Now, UFC let go of him, and they also let go of Anthony Johnson, who, if you don't know who that is, one of the most devastating knockout artists in the 205-pound division. He fought for the UFC title multiple times, and he's been retired for the last couple of years, but he's been making his return, talking about he's been training, getting ready to get back in that cage. And then, boom, all of a sudden, you hear about him parting ways with the UFC, and he's now signed with Bellator, which is another beautiful addition to their 205-pound division. Now, what does all of this mean? Is this a good thing for the UFC, or are they making a big mistake by letting other companies like Bellator, PFL sign great prospects, great fighters, and add that addition to their rosters and juice up their company? Because remember, these guys like Yoel Romero and Anthony Johnson, UFC has invested millions of dollars in these guys in marketing, putting them on cards, promoting them over these years. So now when Bellator comes in or PFL comes in and to scoop them up, they basically are taking that stock and it's already built up. It's not at the ground level. It's already built up and they're running with it. In this video, I'm going to give my thoughts on what the UFC is doing, why they're doing it, and if it's really going to affect them in the long run. I'm also going to talk about how this affects all the other competitors in this market. Because remember, UFC is 90% of the business. They control, they have that revenue. And we honestly don't know exactly what UFC makes. The only way to really know and not just be guessing is to open up their books and take a look. But since UFC is a private held company, we don't have that option of going and looking at their income and their expenses. But how cool would that be? If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Myles, and I've fought 14 times with the UFC from 2012 to 2019. I've been a mixed martial arts competitor my whole life. Fighting is where I make my money, and at this channel, we love talking about mixed martial arts and also finance and business. I myself fight, take all my money, and I love to invest it. We love talking about cash flow, assets, real estate here, so make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't yet. I'll give you guys a second to do it, and thank you. Now, why is UFC and Dana White releasing 60 to 80 fighters? And arguably, these guys are going to be bigger names, just like we've talked about with Yoel and Anthony. Why would they do that? Well, my opinion on it is UFC has a contract with ESPN, and they have to have so many events. They have to have so many fighters filling those cards. Now, when you look at it, UFC does a great job from a business model. Remember, there are two ways to make money in a business. When you take all the fanciness out of it, you take all the rocket science out of it, it comes down to two ways. And this is either you can increase your income by making more sales, a la with the UFC, selling more DVDs, putting people in seats, selling tickets, selling pay-per-views. Basically, any way the UFC can sell and make more money, that's one way to increase their revenue. Or they can also cut back on their expenses, a la firing people, letting go of some fighters. Now, this is nothing new when it comes to big businesses. Just look at the airline industry right now. They're getting crushed by the pandemic that's going around, and one of the first things they're doing to save money and stay in business is to cut back and fire or lay off a lot of employees. Now, UFC is no different. I don't know if they're hurting for money or not, but based on what's going on in the world, it looks like a lot of businesses aren't having the income that they usually have. When you look at the aspect of UFC not having fans in their arenas, man, that's a big hit to their overall income. And now this has been going on for a year, so it wasn't something that they could just kind of let go for a little bit, slide, hopefully it turns around. We're going on almost a year of them not having any fans in attendance. My opinion on why UFC is releasing all these fighters, and a lot of them being probably big names, is just to lower their expenses. At the end of the day, UFC has to fulfill so many cards with ESPN, and UFC, they do a great job with their Contender Series. So what that is it's a filler, or it's a build up to get into the UFC. meaning they take fighters that are 2, 3, 4-0 from around the country, they put them on the Contender Series, they fight, Dana White comes in and says, I like you, you're getting a UFC contract. Now what that does is that locks those fighters down into a contract usually starting at $8,000 a show, $8,000 if they win, maybe 10 and 10. But it's a long-term contract, and it's a way of UFC having fighters on a roster and filling cards at a good rate. I mean, when you look at guys like Yoel Romero or Anthony Johnson or some of these other fighters that are going to be like go, I'd imagine these are guys that are making $50,000 plus a fight. Now look at it from a business standpoint. If you can have that same card, fulfill your contract with ESPN, but instead of paying hundreds of thousands of dollars out to the fighters, if you can only pay tens of thousands, what does that do? That juices up your revenue at the end of the year, and it makes the business money. Now this leads into a question, will this affect the UFC? Will it hurt their brand? Will it water it down? And I personally don't think it will. I think it's a great decision by the UFC because they're in the big business. They can do what they want. It's their company. And I think for two reasons. One, they already have a contract with ESPN. They already are getting paid to put on events, no matter what fighters are on events. To me, from what I've seen, is if they can fill up a pay-per-view and make it a big banger, that's just extra money in the bank for them. And now the second reason why I think UFC is going to be okay and this decision is not going to hurt them is because they still have their heavy hitters, their superstars. Guys like Conor McGregor, who's coming up soon and fighting Dustin Poirier. Guys like Jorge Masvidal. Guys like Israel Adesanya. So when you look at it, they're losing some of their mid-tier fighters. They're also keeping a lot of those heavy hitters and those big pay-per-view sellers and those guys. When you think of the UFC, you automatically think of those superstars. The next question is, how does this affect the landscape of mixed martial arts with other companies and other competitors outside of the UFC? Companies like ONE FC, Bellator, PFL. What is going to happen with these companies? Now, I think with UFC releasing all these guys, this is going to open up a door and opportunity for these other companies to sign great talent that the UFC has spent millions of dollars over the years investing in. And this is going to be a great thing for them because it's going to be able to lift them up and provide great performances for their fans. And not only are companies like Bellator going to have those blue chip athletes that they've homegrown, guys like AJ McKee, but they're also going to pick up great fighters like Yoel Romero, who has a big name and can jump right into a main event slot. So in the end, UFC is going to save money, keep their company running healthy, provide income to their investors, keep their roster able to have fights, and the guys that they do have signed are going to be able to make money, take care of their families. And outside of that, the other fighters that are getting released and let go, there's going to be a good opportunity for them to sign with another organization and probably make more money, depending on where they go, but also it's going to increase those organizations, their rosters, make them even more competitive, and make fans want to tune in. All in all, these are some exciting times in the MMA landscape. The industry is going through a lot of changes right now, but they're all good changes. At the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of exciting fights to put on for the fans. They just might be in different platforms, different channels, different organizations than the UFC like you were used to. If anybody is interested in any personal one-on-one coaching calls, make sure to hit that link in the description below. We're going to be filling up here quick. We only have a couple of calls left, so make sure to sign up now while you still have time. Thank you guys for sticking around through this whole video. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next time.